Hey there! Welcome to this video about Mercury as an archetype of time. My name is Shauna McGrath and I'm excited to talk to you about this. This is something that I was musing on this week, and I wanted to talk about thinking about Mercury as a planetary archetype in a slightly different way that we typically do. I think that it is no surprise that I had this idea sort of popped into my head during a week when Mercury stationed retrograde. So that is kind of an interesting little tidbit as well. So first, I want to talk about what Mercury means and sort of like contrast this with Saturn. Because we typically think of Saturn as the planet of time. And we think of this because Saturn is about limitations, it's about structure. You may also have heard the correlation to Saturn as correlated to the archetype of like Father Time, or this idea that our time is finite. Saturn is the ultimate indicator of limitation, and our time is limited. Now, I think that Mercury can also be a symbol of time, but when we're thinking about time in a different way. And I started thinking about this because I read an excerpt from this book that I'll put the name of the book and the author and everything down in the description. It's a book about the psychological correlations to alchemy. Alchemy as was a medieval, like pre-chemistry kind of process where alchemists would basically do all of these different processes to a certain substance in order to try to purify that substance to create something that was more than the substance. Anyways, that's a whole other topic. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. The name of the book, and so my point is that this process is correlated to our psychological process, and Carl Jung, the psychoanalyst, was really into that, and it's something that I've been looking into recently, just very curious. So this book is called The Mystery of the Coniunctio, Alchemical Image of Individuation. It's by Edward Edinger. That's kind of what it looks like. And so this is page 97. And it's just this little tidbit. It's kind of almost like a throwaway line. He's talking about the idea of these different alchemical images as a process of individuation, a process of coming into yourself as a whole individual. He says, the idea is that if one lives life in the fashion represented by this series of 10 pictures, these alchemy pictures, if one lives an alchemical life, one creates a product. And that product has a life and a quality and an existence beyond temporal existence. We have a lot of indications that psyche transcends space and time. So that was the bit that got me. I'll say that again. We have a lot of indications that psyche transcends space and time. We don't know that the personal psyche transcends space and time, but we do know that the psyche does. And there are reasons to believe that the product of the ego's efforts may transcend space and time. Now, what does that mean? That may sound a little ethereal. So the part that got me thinking about Mercury is, he says there are a lot of indications that psyche transcends space and time. Now, he doesn't really elaborate on this idea, but my impression is that he's talking about psyche as in our collective psyche versus the personal psyche. So like you as an individual, your personal personality and life experiences, your unique soul or spirit, so to speak. And he's saying that the collective psyche, we know that this transcends space and time. And so I imagine that he's drawing that conclusion because archetypes can be seen throughout time. So archetypes are basically just symbols that repeat over and over again throughout humanity, throughout different cultures and throughout different times. So like the mother is an archetype, the father, the the child, the two-spirit is an archetype also. And so we see this collective psyche symbols that move through and can be seen at different places and different times. And then I also think that synchronicity is an indicator of how two seemingly unrelated phenomena can come together. And then he's saying, we don't really know if the personal psyche, like you as an individual, transcends space and time, but maybe. My opinion is yes, I think so, and I'll talk a little bit more about why. But what does this have to do with Mercury? So I hope you're still with me. I hope that's not like too geeky or out there. So I was thinking about this because Mercury is a symbol of moving between worlds. Mercury, yes, it is a symbol of our mind, our intellect, our thought process, communication. It has like a very air element quality to it. It's movable, it's changeable in nature. And it is moving from one place to another, and also this concept of an idea being shared and then changing and transforming. Mercury is also associated traditionally with divination, with psychic gifts, with intuition, and all of these kind of like mysterious and like things that are kind of like you can't really pin it down. Like divination, it's very difficult to pin down exactly what it is and exactly how it works. Mercury is tied to magic, to synchronicity. And Mercury is also very much about thresholds. Mercury is the planet, the only planet that in the traditional astrology embodies both the more feminine and the more masculine qualities. It can also go to be more of a day planet or more of a night planet, depending on where it's placed. So it has this kind of quality of being both and. When I think of Mercury, I also think of the goddess Hecate. She's a guardian of the thresholds. She guides people through from one world to the other world, and that is what Mercury as a planet is a symbol of. So when we think about Mercury as a symbol of time, Mercury is this idea of time being changeable and time transcending space. And I was thinking about this more because as I've been in my internship, some of you know that I am in my master's degree program for counseling psychology, and a part of that process is to do an internship where you do counseling and you work with clients. And I'm working with a very particular population that is very near and dear to my heart. And so I've been doing this work for, I think about 9 months or so. And I've been feeling how through working with this particular population, because I feel so connected to it, that it is healing for me. That it's almost as if I'm going back in time to I'm working with my psyche and healing a part of me as I'm working with this population, that I'm giving myself the thing that I wish that I had at that particular point in my life. And it's kind of like this felt sense of psyche transcending space and time, that through working with people right now, that I am sort of like reaching back in time for myself as well. And I feel that Mercury is this beautiful symbol of this, of how we can, through like this process that feels sort of like magical and ethereal and like hard to really specify, that there is being here and the now, and then also reaching back into the past and forward into the future. So Saturn, as a symbol of time, is the more static. It's the here, it's the now, it's the limitation. And there is value in that. And it's not the only way to think about time. I think this is so important when it feels like we don't have power or don't have control, or we feel overwhelmed with our life circumstances or the state of the world. It can be really helpful to say, okay, what can I do right now? And how can that affect change within myself, within my community? And how can I notice where there is this connection, like this felt sense of connection between what I'm doing now and how that ripples out both forward and backward in time. So I wonder how this lands with you. Does this resonate with you? What does it bring up for you in your life right now? And how do you notice change happens? And I always love hearing what comes up for you. I would love to hear from you. Leave me a comment, or feel free to reach out to me. Send me an email. You can find my contact info on my website at shaunamcgrath.com. And I am a consulting astrologer. You can find out more about getting a reading or a consultation with me also on my website, shaunamcgrath.com. I'm wishing you a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.